Share there? Yeah? Hi, we're back. We're going to talk more about energy, but this time it's part 2, hydrogen. Fossil-free cultivation using hydrogen. So we've got some incredible speakers here, including Marcel. There you are. Jörg, yes. Over there. Yes. And Frank. How are you guys doing?
Hi.
Fine. How's your energy?
Energy is high.
It's high. Okay, that's
high
good. That's
energy.
good. I kind of declined there if anybody caught that on my last panel, but there was a moment there where we nearly lost me. But I've got coffee now. I'm going to be back on track. So if you could just introduce yourself, Marcel. Who are you? What do you do?
So my name is Marcel Weeda. I work at the Dutch Institute for Applied Scientific Research, TNO. I work at the department called Energy Transition Studies, and my expertise is hydrogen. So a lot of projects about hydrogen, all kinds of aspects of hydrogen, policy related.
Policy, incentives, technologies.
Technology, yeah.
Supply technology, right? So you're researching it, and then you find commercial applications.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of laboratories on all kinds of topics. But my laboratory is basically my desk and a computer. So I'm not in a laboratory studying electrolysis or the behavior of hydrogen. But more we see technologies as a black box. But how does that operate in the environment?
And what's your background?
My background is chemistry.
Chemistry.
Okay. Chemical technology.
Cool. And Frank?
Frank Brandsen.
To say it the Dutch way, Frank.
Yeah, Frank is okay.
Okay.
From the New Energy Coalition. That is a network organization at the northern part of the Netherlands. So we work with partners on accelerating the sustainable transition. My main role is now I'm manager of a hydrogen program in the northwest part of the Netherlands. And recently we reserved Hydrogen Valley status of Europe.
So Hydrogen Valley.
Yeah, so we're very proud. So we have almost 20 projects, and we do initiate or coordinate these projects.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what's your background?
My background is civil engineer.
Ah, like my dad.
Yeah.
That's cool. Jörg, tell us about yourself.
I'm Managing Director of Energy Innovation NL, or in Dutch, Topsector Energie. And we are a public-private partnership facilitating innovators in the field of hydrogen, biomethane, CCS, and all kind of activities going on in the subsurface.
Lots of new fuels related to subsurface.
Well, it's all molecule, let's say, alternatives to oil and gas oriented, green molecules.
And what's your background?
I'm an agricultural engineer, and actually the first master thesis I did two, and my first one was on more than 30 years ago on climate control or in greenhouses for lettuce.
Okay.
And that was in a time, there was very simple Pascal programming, so I did a few pieces on that.
Must be exciting to see all the advancements here now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Years later. Okay, so I need a volunteer. Who wants to volunteer?
It depends on.
Well, that's the point of volunteer, because you don't know.
If it's a small dance here before the audience, I would like to volunteer.
Okay, Jörg, explain hydrogen to the audience as though they're a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old.
Okay. Hydrogen is one of the molecules that's most common in our, what do you call it, Hilal?
Universe.
In the universe, exactly. And on the other hand, it's not being found naturally on Earth. Until recently, there seem to be some spots where you can actually explore hydrogen. But basically, hydrogen has to be produced, and you produce hydrogen by leading electricity through water, and then water can be split into hydrogen and oxygen, because hydrogen is H2O. So that's basically the process, but so far, hydrogen in industry has been produced from natural gas, and we call that grey hydrogen. And when you produce it from water using renewable electricity, then we call it green hydrogen. And here's really, the interesting thing about hydrogen, because solar and wind electricity will become so cheap and abundantly available on Earth, maybe not in our country, maybe on the North Sea, but worldwide, that we have the unique opportunity not only to make all the electricity that we need green in a fully sustainable way, but besides that to produce hydrogen so that we can have green molecules that can help us to become fully sustainable on the long run. Maybe 2050, I hope 2050, but more realistically 2070, 28 or maybe 2100. But the interesting thing about hydrogen is if you base it on renewable electricity, we can become fully sustainable in the end, somewhere in the future. And I think that that's a very optimistic and positive message.
Very exciting. We're going to get into that for sure. So we're talking about green hydrogen today, not gray hydrogen, to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I think the best is green hydrogen, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So then this hydrogen is produced, let's imagine, from renewable sources. How does it interact with the greenhouse grower? Is it a fuel product? Is it electricity? How do I get it to my greenhouse?
How do you get it to your greenhouse?
Yeah.
Well, there are different ways.
What form does it come?
Well, what for? It's just a burnable gas. So like natural
In a
gas,
tank.
you can burn it, and you produce heat. You have also you can also put it in a combined heat and power system to produce electricity and heat. The only thing that it doesn't give you for the greenhouses is the carbon dioxide. So currently,
Okay, so you get the heat without the CO2, though.
it's heat and electricity without the CO2. And of course, for greenhouses, that could be an issue. You have to get your CO2 from somewhere else. That's the point.
Yeah. Well, do I need any additional infrastructure? You're saying it works with a typical combined heat and power, but
Well,
if I wanted to
it's-
power from hydrogen, do I need some different
You know,
infrastructure in my greenhouse?
Yeah, well, currently, if you would like to have natural gas, you can get it delivered by a truck, but that's small amounts. If you need large amounts, actually, you would need pipelines.
Okay.
Just a pipeline infrastructure, just like we have now natural gas infrastructure, you would need a pipeline infrastructure. Yeah, that's the best and cheapest way.
And Frank, what's the current state of hydrogen infrastructure for greenhouses in the Netherlands? Like,
There's some
whether-
experiments.
Experiments.
Pilots, yes.
It's experiment stage.
Yeah, experimental stage. A few areas like the Westland and Agritecture in Weeda in the northern part of Netherlands, they will start some pilots to look if the CHP will work on hydrogen. And if you can make the new puzzle, that is the energy system of an agricultural or horticultural farm is an energy puzzle, and we will look if the hydrogen will fit in that puzzle we will make. So we will start in the Weeda. We start with Vertify. Vertify is a research center for the agricultural and horticultural farmers. We will start with an experiment to use hydrogen in greenhouses and also in agricultural farms.
What's your hypothesis? What are you trying to get from this experiment? Are you trying to understand, look, they're getting heat, but they're not getting CO2, so how does that affect the bottom line? Like, what specific questions are you looking to explore? Is it the infrastructure question?
Yeah, first we want to know how the engine will work. So is it possible to 100% hydrogen or a mix? And how will it fit in the total energy consuming of the horticulture? Also combined with other forms of processing heat. Especially geothermal heat.
Right.
How can you make an easy mix to use the hydrogen as
For the peak demand, maybe.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, maybe if I can take one step back, hydrogen has been around for more than 100 years. I think it was developed somewhere in the late 18th century. But what you should realize is that with green hydrogen, so hydrogen with water electrolysis, where you use electricity, renewable electricity, the thinking about this, I think, started maybe 10 years ago, maybe earlier. Like 7, 8 years ago, no one was talking about hydrogen. Hydrogen has really begun, let's say, 5 years ago, when we saw that the price of renewable electricity from wind and solar could really reach very, very low levels. Let's say wind here at the North Sea with very high wind speed and shallow waters, and from solar in, let's say, Southern Europe, Northern Africa, Southern Africa, Australia. So we are only just developing that field of hydrogen, and the biggest projects now are in the Netherlands at a scale of 1 megawatt, and there's a project of 200 megawatt announced by the Shell company. And as it happens to be, here our neighbor NEOM, they have this movie there, and they are showing the largest green hydrogen project in the world, which is being built at the moment and will be ready in 2 or 3 years, exporting not the green hydrogen but green ammonia around the world. But we are really only just starting in exploring this sector, let's say, since 3 to 5 years. So that's new. So now it's slowly entering the horticulture sector, the mobility sector, and we think that industry that needs to replace their feedstocks is only just starting to discover this. So, and that will probably be the biggest market. The rest, you know, it's nice to have, industries need to have. So maybe that's good for the framing to keep in mind.
Yeah. And something I would like to add, because hydrogen is usually associated with a highly reactive gas.
Yeah, I heard it blows up sometimes, right?
So I'm taught not to mix hydrogen and experiments. We do not experiment with hydrogen. We know exactly what we do, but we just have projects to find out how it works in practice.
Yes.
So
Okay.
no experimenting with hydrogen.
I mean, you said you had a desk with a computer, so I'm not really expecting explosions. And,
Yeah,
and
but
that kind of
if
stuff
you
going
talk
on.
to the industrial gas suppliers,
But weren't they using it? Haven't they been using it in Japan in cars for the last decade and a half? I've heard that like that's more popular than electric cars there.
Yes, well, it's been used in Japan, and there are a couple of thousand cars. In the Netherlands, we have 600-700 cars. We have 15 filling stations in California, in the US. You know, I'd say that lately China, but the Republic of Korea, Japan, and California, those are the big markets where hydrogen mobility is interesting. In Germany, they're starting, but keep also in mind that hydrogen has started at let's say at a moment that battery electric cars were regarded as, you can do 200 kilometers,
Right.
and then in the winter it's even less. But battery electric cars have developed so fast and have become so good that, like, the car is not the issue. The issue is, can the grid handle it? So for the Netherlands, hydrogen electric cars, fuel cell electric cars, I think will be a question mark. I would rather see it in boats, in barges and in trucks. In Germany, maybe it would be more feasible, but I would say focus on the heavy duty sector.
Industry, you're saying industry needs it. Industry should be the focus of it. Okay.
And at the moment there are only very limited manufacturers or cars, let's say, from factory-built manufacturers on the market. So this is also, it's all under development.
Yeah, and if it doesn't pick up, then it doesn't get cheaper and it doesn't get popular.
Yeah, like the point is, and that's what everyone is using, batteries are much more efficient, and that's true. Like if you have to use electricity, produce hydrogen, you lose 40% of your efficiency at least. The next step, if you have to use in a fuel cell to produce electricity again, because a fuel cell electric car is also an electric car, then you lose another 40%. So your efficiency is around 40%, and with batteries 90%. So we really have to look for the markets where hydrogen is, let's say, the best option to be used to become carbon neutral. Sorry.
Okay. I agree with that, but we see that the local initiatives are initiatives to get hydrogen for heavy trucks, heavy machinery in the agricultural sector, and boats. So where the battery will fail during the day, we see that the contractors and the farmers ask for hydrogen solutions because they can work the whole day long And we see also the boats. There are some initiatives for building new boats.
And it's a fuel.
near
Does
shore.
it work better with acceleration too? That's some of the issues with electrical. Sometimes acceleration is weakened.
Yeah, but fuel cell cars are also electric cars.
Yeah. Okay.
The only thing is that you produce the electricity on board of the vehicle.
Yeah.
But then you have an electric motor, so the performance is the same, like a battery electric car. It's just a matter of I think it's related to infrastructure. Can we charge so many million, maybe trillion vehicles with through these copper wires, or do we also need another option? For now,
So part
battery
of
is
the
fine,
mix, yeah.
but it probably will come.
And so, what's your real message to growers? Like, what do you want the horticulture industry to know about green hydrogen?
I think that the main message is like
Why are you
two
here?
things. Yeah,
You
yeah.
tell us. We're
No,
invited.
I would say two important things. The first one is, when is green hydrogen available? One. Two, at a price that is competitive with its alternative, whether it will be geothermal heat or maybe it's going to be gas-fired and you have to pay for your CO2 emissions. And we're not at that stage yet. At this stage, green hydrogen is extremely expensive. In 5 to 10 years, it can be much cheaper. But like, you shouldn't look at hydrogen as, now I have a natural gas-fired CHP, natural gas out, green hydrogen in. I think you have to look at the whole picture and ask yourself, if I want to become carbon neutral, what's the best way? Is it geothermal energy? Or is it maybe I have to do something electric with solar PV? And maybe the option of last resort is, can I use green hydrogen, and in what way? Am I just connected to a green hydrogen grid and I use it in my CHP? Or can I produce it myself and have it then in an effective way? And can I also then deliver grid services? Or is there another option? So you really have to look, I think it's also been said in the previous session, look at it from an integrated way, because else green hydrogen may be the most expensive solution, but we have to test it, to demonstrate it. Does it work? How does it work? How much does it cost? And is this a good solution? So I think it's perfect what Frank said. Try it, test it, and see how it works.
Yeah, it's not the first application in line. First, we have to secure the availability, and then, of course, you also need the infrastructure to get it at your front door. So, and these are two difficult items, and then probably greenhouses are not the first market for that. So, but in the end, it will also go there if we have enough and if we have built the infrastructure.
Yeah, but I think this point about diversification of the energy sources, like beyond the sustainability points, right? Mm-hmm. It's also about resilience. Yes. You look at the energy crisis, right? It's about having independence, energy independence. Yeah. If you have more options, if you have more, then you have a better chance of adapting to whatever shocks are going to happen in the future.
And it's probably very location specific. If you look at the Netherlands, we are a very densely populated country. Everything is very close together. We have a good infrastructure. If you're out there in a very remote area and you have a large a company and you have areas for a solar park and you have your own wind farm facilities, I mean, then you can combine things and maybe become self-sufficient in energy. So there will definitely be cases where it already is possible. Yeah. But where it's really, I think greenhouses in the Netherlands are not the first.
Now, I want to go back to this prediction about energy getting cheaper, because I have these conversations a lot. I mean, sometimes as a consultant, I work with utility companies. I had one company that says we have excess energy on the grid, so the price of our energy is going down so much, and we're like selling it to neighboring states. The second largest utility company in the United States, they sell it to neighboring states at pennies on the dollar, and they lose efficiency in transmission. They said, can we build vertical farms to use that energy? Like, they want the most energy-consuming things possible there. Is it really going to get that cheap? I mean, it's pretty hard to believe with the energy crisis that happened. But if it gets that cheap, that also means there's an abundance of that renewable energy. That's why it's cheap. So does the diversification argument even matter if it's going to get that cheap? But mostly I want to hear, you gave your prediction, went from 2050 to 2100, but you gave your prediction. Do you agree with are you hearing different?
No, I don't think it will be that cheap. I mean, this year, with the implementation of renewables, we already see in the Dutch market, I think this year already more than 100 hours of negative prices, even down to minus 400 euros per megawatt hour. So that's huge. But if this continues, then no one will invest anymore in
No one
renewables.
will build more.
Yeah,
There needs to be a business
because
case.
you don't get anything for it. So there will be a balance, and in the end, I think we also need to balance this variable supply with variable offtake, and then you will get a balance, and that will be around, let's say, the marginal option. And the marginal option is maybe a bit more expensive than the renewables, and then the market will always ask for the highest price.
And subsidies will run out at some point, right?
Well,
so that also is going to change.
In the Netherlands, offshore wind is already without subsidy.
Okay.
Current wind farms installed. So, but it will never be, for nothing. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's still business, so
It's still business.
It can't be free.
And market parties will always ask the highest price. They always ask,
Okay.
Yeah, like there's no such thing as a free lunch. So,
unless you're a VIP.
The cost price.
No free lunch.
I think the cost price will come down tremendously, and that's what I said. But there's a difference between cost price and market price.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the fact that electricity probably on a Sunday with a day like this with a lot of solar will have a negative price. Like you can't run an electrolyzer, which is actually a small chemical plant. You can't run that on 100 or 500 hours a year. You need, let's say, a base load of at least a few thousand hours. So I think that's one. And secondly, everyone will be chasing those negative prices of electricity.
Yeah.
So in the end, again, economics. If everyone is heading for that cheap or maybe negative priced electricity,
demand will increase.
No, so it will level out somewhere. And the question is, can I have long-term contracts with reasonable prices for sustainable electricity on the one hand, and on the other hand, can I have some flexibility in my contracting that I can sort of accommodate cheaper electricity prices if they occur? But in the end, if you have a payback time of 10, 15 years, if you have to run a large plant, you want to have security of your feedstock, which is electricity. So you need, let's say, in some way, long-term contracts to run your business. So,
I think those are getting more popular now based on the volatility of the energy crisis, right? People want those long-term contracts.
Yeah.
Frank, do you have any additional thoughts on the future of free energy or cheap energy?
No, I'm more a developer of energy projects.
Okay.
I think industry will, they need.
The market will
they will go into the market.
Yeah.
But within a few years, hydrogen, you can produce hydrogen as a for diesel price, for fuel, for gas oil prices, using it for trucks or
Trucks
boats.
and boats, yeah. You see that horizon.
Yeah, the first projects prove that already.
Okay.
But that is only when you have your own production.
Right.
Your own solar field or your own wind park. So you decide yourself how to produce your hydrogen, and you're not depend on the price of electricity on the market. So only in
specific circumstances.
And that's specific circular projects. We see it can replace gas oil prices. So.
Very interesting, very interesting. Do we have any audience questions? Okay, we've got the geothermal guy here.
He promised to ask difficult questions.
We have some energy battle happening here. Okay.
Thank you, Henry, and thank you all for your introduction. I'm not only geothermal, it's a mix which will make it happen. And I'm really missing one important thing. Sorry for that, guys. If Jörg said already, if you go from producing hydrogen with power, which we are planning in the Netherlands to do on Maasvlakte 2, you have about 40% of losses.
Yeah.
And this is all waste heat. We call it waste heat. And this waste heat is about 70 degrees. And of course, this 70 degrees is ideal for it's ideal for greenhouse industry. So this use of this waste heat, this conversion of power to hydrogen, is for the greenhouse industry very important. And this will be worldwide. Secondly,
Yeah, but Martin,
this conversation.
but that will be in the waste heat session.
Yeah, but
This is the hydrogen session.
Yeah, but
Wait, does the waste heat have CO2, this waste heat, or no? Also
no, you have to, I want to, let's say, lecture you on the integration. So, but this conversion thing with waste heat, in the end, is really a gain for greenhouse industry. And the other way around, if you put your hydrogen into your CHP, you have also waste heat. So this conversion again and this flexibility will make it. So I really want to emphasize this bigger picture from the greenhouse perspective to be an integrated part in the energy system.
Yeah.
So that's my point to make. No questions for you. Sorry.
No, okay.
Okay, great. Well, we're out of time.
Already?
Oh, already.
Imagine that. We did a great job.
Oh,
We just
20 minutes.
What?
Only 20 minutes.
It was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep going?
Okay.
Do you have any last words?
If the audience wants.
Yeah,
Maybe there are some questions.
Okay, they
in
really
the
want more
audience.
questions.
Yeah.
Can we take one more question?
Now we're here.
Yes, they're okay with it. If you have one.
Any questions? Request for the small dance, maybe?
I told you it was over, and now
Yeah.
now we're just sitting here
Okay.
awkwardly. You got to trust the moderator, you guys.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
round of applause.